What's going on, guys, and welcome back to the Inside the One podcast with your boy Jay Hoff and Spitz. Guys, it's been, I think, about 2 weeks since our last upload, so guys, I appreciate you guys being very patient with this one. Life happens, and, we just have to let life run its course. But hey, we're back to do another episode with you guys, so we're really excited. We're here to talk about the NFC West division, and like we've said, we're going to do every single division up until the season starts. I think we're only about 50 days left until the new season, so guys, we're excited. We're ready to go for the season. A lot of stuff to talk about today, so we're just going to dive right into it with we're just going to start with general NFL news, but real quick before we get into that, hey Spitz, you want to say anything to the boys real quick?
What's up, boys?
All right. Fair enough. Easy enough. All right, so we're going to start with just general, what was I saying? Jennifer?
I don't know what's going on.
I don't know.
You take a week off and it's just chaos.
It's chaos, bro. You got like a little bit of rhythm. You have to get it back. The momentum has to come back. Anyway, general NFL news. So I think the biggest thing that we've been hearing a lot on Twitter, at least for the both of us here right now anyway, is Aaron Rodgers. We keep hearing him all, like, between him and Deshaun Watson, we've heard those names multiple times in the offseason. And the biggest thing is he still going to come back? So I guess the most latest thing that we've heard is that he got offered this offer would have made him the highest paid quarterback in football. And he still said no, guys. He still said no. So it's not about the money. He clearly does not want to play for this team. No, you could offer him $1 billion, and he does not want to play for this team. What did they say to this guy to make him hate the Packers so much? I mean, do you have any thoughts here?
I mean, it's just clear as day that he's we talked about earlier on a previous episode that he's, his whole thing is the culture of the team, and like there's some people in the front office that he doesn't mesh with like that. And it seems like it's at a point where no amount of money is going to, they say money that can't buy happiness, and that's being proven right here. He's like, I don't care what you pay me if, and I don't know who it is, but if this guy and this guy and this guy is still here, I'm not signing the contract.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, man, he is one of the greatest football players of all time. Is he gonna sit out? Could you imagine Aaron Rodgers just sitting out, being like, no, you're either trading me or I'm not playing. Like, I will happily just not play. I'll retire. I'll go golfing and host Jeopardy. I'll come back in 2 years when I'm 40 after some years off like Brett Favre, and I'll go play somewhere else.
Yeah, I mean, that whole idea blows my mind because, like, what kind of quarterback who has been in the NFC Championship game 3 or 4 times in a row, like, you're so close to getting another ring. You're so close. And it's
I
just
think
like...
the Packers know that. I think that's their leverage, is like, they're kind of looking at the situation like, really, bro? You're not going to sit out. You're not going to miss 17 games worth of padding your stats. You're not going to miss out on a chance to get a second ring when everybody's telling you have to get one in order to be ranked where you want to be at. They're like, hey, one's not going to cut it. The Packers know this, and I think that's why they're holding so strong, is I think they believe, and I think most of the fans too, that he's gonna ultimately play because he's not going to sacrifice a whole year of his life.
Exactly.
And miss out on opportunities. But I mean, to me, like, if I'm the Packers, like, is this like a game to you or something? Because like, he's done so much for you. Like, look at Julio Jones and look at Aaron Rodgers. Julio Jones was like, I don't want to be here anymore, please. And the Falcons were like, okay, where would you like to go?
Yeah.
And they sent him there when they got for a package that they probably could have got more from somebody else. And then you look at Aaron Rodgers, and he's like, I don't want to be here anymore, please. And the Packers are like, too fucking bad.
Right. But I mean, you got to think about where the Packers and the Falcons are in their
That's also true.
franchises.
That's also true. The Falcons are going nowhere, and the Packers are in contention. That's very true as well. But just to me, I mean, I feel like, let's say 3 years ago, if the Saints lose to the Rams. No, actually, let's do when the Saints lost to the Vikings and the Stephon Diggs play. Because that makes more sense because Drew Brees actually played pretty well in that game. So let's do that one. Let's say Drew Brees is like, you know what, dude? y'all motherfuckers over here are not helping me, right? And he wants to get traded. I can almost guarantee that the Saints would have been just like, okay, man, where do you want to go? Even though they're still a contending team. And maybe it's just because the Saints are like a joke of a franchise before Drew Brees got there. So it's kind of like they owe him everything. Whereas the Packers don't really owe Aaron like anything at all because they've been here and done that forever. Maybe that's a difference. But I don't know. I just feel like out of respect, you should. If he doesn't want to be there, you can't hold him. I mean, technically you can hold him hostage, but like, it's kind of a bad look. It's kind of like Houston, right? Like everybody looks at Houston like, fuck you guys for just holding Deshaun Watson hostage down there when he wanted to get out. So it kind of puts a bad taste in other players' mouths when it comes to your, front office when they see stuff like this.
Yeah, I mean, trying to sit here and think about how Aaron Rodgers views this whole entire situation, like being told that you can't go somewhere when you want to go somewhere, like, the fact that you feel trapped and you have no options, you have, like, honestly, he could play for all kinds of teams right now, and anybody would gladly take him. But it's the fact that, like, hey, if I want to go somewhere, are you guys going to fight me about it? Like, I'm one of your best quarterbacks. I'm probably your best quarterback since Brett Favre. Or, debatably better than Brett Favre. And, obviously, and they keep fighting him. It's just like, it's just not a good relationship to have with someone who's treated your franchise so well and represented your franchise so well. And I get that. It's an unfortunate relationship. And I don't know what's exactly making him so upset. And I wish I did know. I want to know what happened between Aaron Rodgers and our front office. I really do.
I have a small idea. I think that and I believe him when he said that drafting Jordan Love wasn't anything to do with it. What happened is Aaron Rodgers knew that they were ready to give up on him, like he was going to fall off a cliff. Okay, so he came out last season and was like, "Hold this, I'm gonna win MVP."
And now I'm out.
Should have got to the Super Bowl. Probably should have. Say what you want. The defense let him down a little bit, but at the end of the day, there was some questionable play calling and stuff. So
exactly,
you never know. But he was there, and he was like, "Okay." So this offseason, I feel like he went to them and was like, "Okay, so you wanted to get rid of me in the offseason of 2021, so let's do it. Come on, let's go." And now all of a sudden they don't want to. Oh, now you don't want to get rid of me, huh? Yeah, I didn't think so, but too late. You already burned the bridge.
And they
by thinking I was going to be done. So fuck you. Yeah. I won this MVP. You can go play with Jordan Love, and I want to go play somewhere else.
Exactly.
And I think that's where the rift is. Yeah. If you're asking me,
I'm with you 100%, and I think it got even worse towards that last game that he played when they kicked the field goal instead of actually going for it, and I'm pretty sure, like I swear I can almost hear Aaron Rodgers kind of going back and forth with the coach about that decision. And like it just shows that they do not only do they not want to tell him what's going on with they draft, but they also don't want to tell him what's going on with the play calling. Like, hey, we're not going to trust you. We don't care what you think we should do here. We're going to do what we want. This entire franchise is controlled by the front office, and the quarterback has no say. Whether it's about the drafting, whether it's about play calling, in the most important games, I think it's just a combination of a couple of those things.
And then you watch the Super Bowl and you see how just torn to pieces the Chiefs were. And you start to think to yourself, like, man, it looks like the Chiefs had no chance of beating anybody in the Super Bowl. So you would have won your second ring.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you got there. Like, there's almost no question about it. The Chiefs were just devastated. Like, they were just...
their roster was... If the Packers would have played defense like they did...
Yeah.
Zadarius Smith would have beaten that line alive. And
exactly. It would have been almost no different at all. I mean, the Chiefs, I just remember watching that game just thinking, like, this team has no chance to beat the Packers, the Saints, the Buccaneers.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, the Rams. Oh, my God. Can you imagine if Aaron Donald was in there? Oh, Jesus. So,
yeah,
he's got to be looking at that like, man, if you just would let me go for it. But then again, he made a terrible decision on, what was that, third down?
Yeah, I think it was third down or second down where he had like a lane as big as a Mack truck to just run it in, and he chose to throw it. So it's like, it's those decisions that probably make the coach think, well, hey, he
Yeah.
didn't make the right decision here. Let's make sure we make the the secure decision here. And I get that, but there's gotta be a little bit of gray area there where you kind of like you have to go on the gut of your quarterback. I mean, he is the one that's out there playing the game for you. I don't know.
Yeah.
This is why I don't work the front office and I don't work the
It's
NFL. I'm just over here
fascinating.
talking on YouTube with you guys. But hey, it is fascinating, and I kind of want to see where it goes from here.
It's just fascinating that it's a player of his like historical magnitude. Like you don't see this every day.
No, you don't see Tom Brady or Peyton Manning or anybody like that sitting out ever. You've never seen
Yeah.
it. So
Like Peyton Manning and Tom Brady left when their teams were on the downswing. They were like, okay, you guys can rebuild. That's cool. I'm gonna go continue to win games over here. It's totally different than
exactly.
being
Those
potentially
teams
the
actually
best
let them
team.
go. Peyton Manning, Colts.
Yeah.
The Colts let Peyton Manning go. The Patriots let Tom Brady go.
And it's like you said earlier, it's because those teams knew they were going to start losing. They weren't good enough. And out of respect, they were just like, yeah, man, you go do your
But
thing.
the Packers are still contention.
Whereas
Possibly
the
with or
Packers are
without.
sitting here like, they're sitting there like, man, we can't just trade away our Super Bowl hopes,
Exactly.
No offense to Jordan Love, but we don't know what he can do. So technically, until he proves something, they're trading away their Super Bowl hopes. So
It's true. All right. I mean, well, there's a lot to be said here, but we still have a whole
I'm pretty sure we'll be back
stuff.
every fucking week
Yeah,
with
I
something
mean,
about
we're
this
always talking
guy.
about either Aaron Rodgers or Deshaun Watson every week, so we'll come back to this, but
Ridiculous.
it's always fun. The next topic here, so Kwon Alexander. I think
Yes.
last year he had a crazy injury, Achilles. I want to say, did he tear his or his
He
ACL?
tore his, no, it was his Achilles.
Okay,
Yeah,
Achilles.
you're right.
So he's visiting the Saints yet again. I mean, is he coming back to the Saints?
Yes,
What do you think?
sir.
This is your team. I mean, you can talk on this.
Yeah, man, this always felt like this was the plan, was to cut him to save his cap hit, and then bring him back for cheaper off his injury. It seemed obvious to me, and I think a lot of people like that follow the Saints and stuff that it didn't seem like teams were very interested in him when we got him in the first place. Like that trade that we made was we sent over some garbage. It was like the 49ers didn't want him. They gave him to us for free. He got hurt. He's a free agent. Nobody wants him again. And it's like the Saints are just sitting there like, hey, man, we got a couple $1 million here for you if you want
We
to keep
still got
playing.
you.
Like, we still want you here. We just couldn't, at the end of the day, it's a business, and we had to, in order to keep our team competitive, we had to cut some people. It's just the way it works. And but hey, we got $13 million in cap now, so if you want to come back for a little bit of money, we got you for a year. I don't really know how much he would play out that injury. I would, because he's not young, so I would hope that he could come back and be good. I don't know if he would actually start over Pete Werner or Zach Bond, though. But man, when he was on the team last year, him and Demario Davis, I mean, that was I was so sad when he got hurt. Him getting hurt, if he's not hurt, the Saints are in the Super Bowl. I promise you this, because their defense was, I'm pretty certain they were rated number 1 last season when Kwon Alexander was on the team. I mean, it was outrageous because you had 2 god tier coverage linebackers on the field at all times, and it sucked when he went down. But I'll glad to have him back, and I hope he's healthy, and I hope he can start for us because I'm not a big fan of having rookie when you're
Pete
I mean,
Warner.
of course, Drew Brees is gone, but I still like to think that we're still a contending team based on the rest of the roster, and so when you're a contending team, I always hate having rookies on the field playing in important positions like that because they just don't always they're not always ready for that, especially a guy in the second or third round. So I'd much rather have Kwon and his veteran, leadership out there with Demario than have Pete Werner or Zach Bond forced into that role. But we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. So I mean, it could definitely happen. I mean, I think I'm with you there. I would rather have Kwon. I mean, torn Achilles, Kwon is probably, it still might be better than rookie Pete Werner, but
I think so.
who
Yeah,
knows? Who knows?
and he can learn. And Pete Werner can learn a lot from
Absolutely.
playing behind not only Demario Davis but also Kwon Alexander. That's 2 fantastic role models at the linebacker position. So
Definitely. All right, so another fascinating some news that I heard about. So the Mannings. So we're going to see Eli and Peyton Manning have their own Monday Night Football broadcast. I think they said it's going to be on ESPN2. So we're going to have 2 separate broadcasts happening. I'm definitely going to tune into the Mannings one because I would love to hear after hearing what Tony says day in, day out, I want to hear the brain behind Peyton Manning, Mr. Omaha himself, and Eli, who he's the Tom Brady destroyer. I want to hear them pick apart a game every single Monday night. I don't know about you, but this sounds exciting to me.
Yeah. So apparently it's like I'm trying to figure. I read about it. It's like it's like the regular Monday Night Football broadcast with the regular people, but then if you're watching it on ESPN Plus, Peyton and Eli Manning will chime in throughout the game as well.
So they're not
something
broadcasting;
like
they're just chiming in. I'm trying to understand here.
Yeah, they're just like it's like an additional thing to pull people onto ESPN Plus. It's not. I'm pretty sure.
Gotcha.
I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's not just the two of them in a booth broadcasting the game. I'm pretty sure you're still watching the regular game, but you get additional.
So it's like a commentary type of deal, almost.
Yeah, you get like additional commentary from them, which is so cool. I was still mad. Like, I mean, Peyton Manning, bro, if you were going to do this, why did you turn down the Monday Night Football offer they gave you already, bro? I wanted to hear him.
Well, from what I heard, this is his own production. It's called like Omaha Productions. Fair. So he's probably getting more money because it's actually his company or something.
That's a good point.
Yeah,
that's a good point. I don't have to pay for this, bro. But yeah, man, that'd be cool. Like, you know, if you do have ESPN Plus and you listen to him and you listen to Tony Romo, and then next year you'll also have Drew Brees to listen to.
Dude.
Basically, anytime you're watching a game on a prime time, you're gonna have
some god-tier quarterback telling you every single play that you ever want.
Because Drew Brees already said, there was an interview, and Drew Brees already said he's gonna, like, he's like inspired by how Tony Romo calls the game, and his like play calling predictions and all that cool stuff that he does, and he's like going to try to bring that. So that's already like a guarantee that he's going to do the same thing in the game. And it's like, that stuff fascinates me. I love how like a quarterback can just be like, this is the formation, they're about to do this. That just blows my mind, and you can just know that. Because like out of a formation, you still have like 10 different plays you could call. But he's looking at the situation, the downs, the yards, and he's like, this is 100% going to be a halfback toss to the left.
And it works, yeah.
And it always is. It's never wrong, bro, except for the one time. It's crazy
because like he'll actually predict that shit like a whole drive and a half ahead of time.
Remember how wrong he was in the Chiefs and Browns playoff game, bro? When he was like, there's no way they're going to go for this with Chad Henne on the field.
And they do.
Yeah. He almost had a stroke.
That makes it exciting, though. That makes it exciting. Like, when this guy is always right, and then he happens to be wrong, it blows everyone's minds.
Yeah, I love it.
Hopefully you see more
excited.
of that.
I'm a Notre Dame fan, so I actually watch every Notre Dame game. So I get to see Drew Brees this year, which is exciting. Nice. I'll get like a preview, because people that don't watch Notre Dame aren't going to hear him in the booth with Mike Tirico. But those Tirico and Brees together are moving on to Sunday Night Football in 2022, because Collinsworth and Al Michaels are going to be gone. So if you watch Notre Dame, or if you just like want to take a Saturday and just watch a game, that's on every Saturday. They have a contract, so you'll get to hear a preview of Sunday Night Football.
So it's every Notre Dame game, or just?
They'll be on every Notre Dame game, yeah. So every Saturday on NBC, usually about 3:00, Notre Dame plays, and they'll be broadcasting that. And then once Al Michaels and Collinsworth are going, which is sad, by the way, because those are like the voices of freaking football, dude.
Love Chris Collinsworth, bro. Like he just, I know he's so like
he's a
controversial, and he all Tom Brady, all Patrick Mahomes. Like I
basically every person that's playing on Sunday Night Football is the best player ever. When Chris, he makes you believe in yourself.
Up a player.
That's what I was saying. He'll be like Chad Henne will come in and be like, you know what, man, Chad Henne is just the greatest. You know,
and he'll pull stats out of his ass, too, dude.
He is the most professional backup you'll ever see in your life. He is just amazing. You know, he completed 75% of his passes when coming in the game in the end of the third quarter with 2 minutes to go. And I'm like, what?
He knows how to make you think the most trash quarterback in the world is the best quarterback. That's his art.
And then Mahomes is just God.
Yeah, he's just the second coming of
Mahomes
Jesus.
And Brady.
Anyway, so we'll get away from that. So this news was actually breaking to me today. I'm still blown by this. Just the idea of this is fascinating.
Yes,
but anyway, so let me break it to you guys. Xavien Howard might be leaving the Dolphins. Okay, let that sink in for a second, okay? He was the best cornerback last year, and Based on what we were talking about and discussing earlier before the podcast, he's just not getting the money that he thinks he deserves because he played so well last year. So now the Finns are kind of lowballing him, and now he might be going to a different team, maybe the Saints. I'll let you take this one because it's just, I know it's like a fantasy thing at this point.
Yeah, man, I feel like the Saints are brought up in every trade rumor with like Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, this and that and the other.
Yeah.
But this actually makes sense though, because I mean, we have Marshawn Lattimore and then question marks, right? Like you have Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. It's like he's a really good slot, but like, can he transition to the outside? We don't know. Paulson Adebo is a rookie. I just said rookies, you never know. And so it's like, we did clear some cap. It's I don't know what we could trade over there. Maybe like Andrews Pete or something, just somebody that is trash like him. And I don't know. It's just possible. But yeah, so basically he's making like $15 million a year, I think, something like that. He signed that contract, I want to say like 2 years ago. And I'm assuming, he between him and Jair Alexander and of course Jalen Ramsey, those are like the top three right now. And I mean, the dude had like 11 or 12 interceptions last season.
That was crazy. And
so obviously he thinks that he is the best. And rightfully so. I mean, good.
This is the time to cash out. Like, hey,
exactly, bro. He's 28, right? So like, you look at Richard Sherman. He's 32, and everybody gave up on him. So you got like 3 or 4 years left before people think you're too old. And he's like, yo, I want to restructure this deal or renegotiate it and be a higher paid cornerback because I deserve it. Now, the Dolphins apparently don't seem to want to do that. So that he's holding out right now. He hasn't been showing up to the camps. And we'll have to see what happens. There's going to be a lot of trade suitors, though, man. I've seen a scary one is the Browns. The Browns are on the radar.
Oh, my God, no.
Yes, that's that's for another day. But, yeah, then the Saints, of course, are always brought up when a cornerback is available, especially now that which we're about to get to Richard Sherman eventually. But he's not available probably anymore. So now the Saints are really going to be looking for a corner. Teams like Seattle.
Seattle could use it bad.
Yeah, teams like that. But you got to have the assets, and you got to be willing to part with those. And I've been a Saints fan for a long time, and they're just not afraid to trade picks, man. They're really not. They will send all their draft picks. Look at Ricky Williams, for example, and that was a totally different regime, and they still did that. But like we traded all this shit for Marcus Davenport. We traded like anything is possible, man. As long as they don't trade Marshawn for Xavien Howard, that would make me sad. Dolphins fans would be so stoked.
Yeah.
But for me, it's like I don't want to lose Marshawn, bro, or Michael Thomas. But if you can navigate this, trading like Marcus Davenport or Andrews Pete or like something like that, and some draft capital, right, then fuck yeah, man. Because the rumor mill is suggesting that Taysom Hill might be starting quarterback, so we need as much defensive help as possible, bro. If that's the case, because oh fuck me, man.
I can't imagine that, bro. Well, we'll leave that for another day. Anyway, another Saint, another news here. Ted Ginn retires.
Look at Ted Ginn, man.
So
Ted Ginn made it 14 years after he was a bust, right? Like
yeah.
He got picked number 9 when the Dolphins were supposed to take Brady Quinn. They needed a quarterback desperately. They drafted Ted Ginn Jr. Everybody on the draft broadcast had a stroke. I randomly came across the clip when he retired, and I watched it because I didn't really watch that draft like that. And everybody on there was just like, "What the fuck are they doing?" And then he wasn't even that good. Like he really wasn't that good for the Dolphins. Like, he could kick return and stuff, but he wasn't really that good at all. And then he went to the Panthers and he was pretty good. And then he went to the Saints and he was solid. And he made it 14 years as a bust. So that's respect, man. That's a grind.
Yeah. No hate there. I mean, honestly, I remember him for the kick returns. Even if you're an okay receiver, but as long as you excel somewhere, you're always going to have a job. And yeah, kudos to him for staying in the league this long and being able to retire. Not many people can say they did that.
Yeah, you play in the league for 14 years with some bricks for hands. That's impressive, man.
Yeah, for real.
Because like you said, it's the kick returns. Because for example, Devin Hester couldn't catch a football either, but hey, he was putting points on the board the other ways. So
exactly.
Same with Cordarrelle Patterson. How is he still in the NFL? It's just. I have a question to pose because I saw this on Twitter. I was like trending, and I was like, that's some BS. And then I looked into it, and I was like, well, maybe not actually. Cordarrelle Patterson is the best kick returner of all time. Did you know that?
Get the how? On what?
Devin Hester is the best punt returner of all time. So Cordarrelle Patterson has the most kick return touchdowns, I think. Either like he's 1 or 2, but he has way more kick return touchdowns than Devin Hester does. But Hester got hell of punt returns. So when I saw the thing that was like best kick returner of all time and people were talking about Cordarrelle Patterson, I was like, are you dumb? But then I looked it up and I was like, yo, Cordarrelle Patterson is actually the best kick returner. Who would have thought?
My question is like, when did this happen? Like,
It's
was
just
I watching
been
football?
happening slowly over time. Like when he was with the Vikings, he'd bring one back once in a while. Then,
Okay.
With the Bears,
All right,
he's been doing
fine.
really well with
Let
the
me
Bears.
ask this question then. So has he been playing longer than Devin Hester? Like, why do I feel like that's false?
No, I
Like,
don't think so.
I can understand like maybe Devin Hester
It's
played
because
5 years and then Cordarrelle paid
Devin-
10. So okay, sure, he has more because he played longer.
It's just in your head, because it's the same thing as me. In my head, I just thought Devin Hester returned a bunch of kicks, but it was punts.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So like it's just like it's almost like the Mandela effect in a way. Is like, what do you mean Devin Hester only had 5 kick return touchdowns in his career? You know what I'm saying? Like
Right.
what? 5?
He returned everything.
Yeah. So it's just one of those things where like you didn't really realize that it was mostly punts that he was taking back to the house.
Interesting.
Instead of
Okay,
kicks.
well,
I just wanted to throw that in there because it's just
if
like a
that's the
random
case.
fact that came across.
Yeah, I mean, if
Who
that's
would've
the
thought?
case, then kudos. I maybe I've underestimated him
Yeah,
a little bit.
Because I keep thinking, like, why is Cordarrelle Patterson always on these teams, man? Like, what the fuck is he doing? Sure enough, he has like 12 kick return touchdowns in his career or something like that.
I'm gonna do some homework after this podcast. I promise you boys that.
Yeah.
I'll come back next week and tell you exactly how many and why or whatever.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's interesting to me. I'll have to do some. Anyway, so another Saint. I feel like it's all Saints today. So you got
This is
Kwon, you got
pissing me
Ted,
off,
you got this guy, David Onyemata, as we like to call him around here. Fails a drug test. Why? Why are you taking
understand.
performance enhancing drugs when you play on the defensive line?
Yeah, like what did you have to get bigger for? Like I don't understand. What did you need to enhance about your performance? I'm sure at the end of the day, like what it usually is they ate a fucking brand of cereal that had a banned substance in it. I mean, that's usually how it goes. I didn't fully read into it yet because, I saw the suspension and I was just sad. I didn't really want to read into it because I didn't want to get sadder. But a lot of times, like your athletic, your trainer, whatever, your chef, they'll give you something that nobody even realizes has a substance in it you're not supposed to have and whatever, man. Like, sometimes I feel like the NFL is too strict with that kind of stuff. It's like, does it really enhance your performance? That really, how much does your performance really get enhanced?
Like, what are we talking about? Like creatine? Like it depends. Like,
I know,
what
it's
exactly
like-
are we considering?
It's like
Performance enhancing
for
drugs,
like a
you
really
know?
good example is like in baseball with Barry Bonds, right, with steroids and stuff.
Right.
Performance enhancing drugs, right? Like, is it really? It just made him bigger. Steroids doesn't help you hit a 100-mile-an-hour fastball the size of a fucking baseball, obviously, but with a stick, that's fucking hard to do.
Yeah.
And also, he was hitting a lot of home runs when he was skinny, so it's like he really was just doing steroids for no reason, honestly. So I don't know.
I get it.
It's kind of a gray area, man. It's like, is it really even helping that much?
We should do like
But
a study on like people before and after performance enhancing drugs and see if they're actually like improving their performance
But like,
or not.
especially with like these random ones that are like accidental, is like, because like Barry Bonds obviously was intentionally trying to improve something, whether it was his size, his strength, how he looked, whatever, whatever. But like, if you're eating a protein shake that just accidentally has a banned substance in it, like, do we really need to be suspending for that? I don't know. Maybe it's kind of a fine line, I guess.
Yeah. Either way, I guess the question is, do you think he'll be back for this season? Like, even with this.
Yeah, he'll be back. He'll be back. He only got he got 6 games.
6 games? Okay. All right.
He got 6 games for accidentally taking a drug when Tom Brady got 4 games for deflating footballs, but we're not going to talk about that today.
All right. We're going to move on from that. All right. So one more piece of news here. So Frank Clark, pretty much the same thing that happened to Marshawn Lattimore earlier this offseason happens to this guy. So is he going to get suspended, or how long? Are they going to? Is either one of these players going to be able to come back from that? Like,
I personally think that neither should be suspended for this. We talked about this off camera, but like this, they didn't hurt anybody. This affects the NFL absolutely 0%. They obviously have to pay their bond, their bail, whatever, and they're fine, and they're going to have their name in the record. But all that shit that comes with getting arrested. But it just doesn't seem like something that really affects the NFL in a way to be worthy of a suspension to me. But if one of them gets suspended, they both should. It would be really, really bad look if only one got suspended. One and
not the other. Yeah.
Yeah, but and that's not just me talking because we need Marshawn desperately. I'm just saying, Plaxico Burress shot himself. Like,
and he still got the play.
Gun. Yeah, like the gun thing is like, oops, they had a unarmed. They didn't do anything. They didn't hurt anyone. Like,
it's not like they were holding somebody up or anything like that.
Like you can't put having a gun in your car on the same level as Kareem Hunt kicking some woman in the face. Like, you just can't, because he got 8 games for that. Like, you can't.
Yeah, it was a while.
You can't. It's just not the same. You can't. If anything, it should be maybe 2 games.
Yeah.
Suspension. Like, you can't. If it's any more than 6 games. If it's 6 or more, excuse me, then that's just tragic on the NFL's part. But it is Roger Goodell, so you never know.
You see what he did with COVID and finding people up the ass for not having a mask. So I wouldn't be surprised.
I'm fully expecting everybody that hates the Saints is just going to be like, oh my god, all you do is complain. Oh my god, bro. We got fined for dancing in the locker room without masks on when all other 31 teams had videos of dancing in the locker room without masks on. They didn't get fined. We lost draft picks. So I'm not making this stuff up, dude. We definitely get shit on by the NFL ever since Bounty Gate. And, fair enough, whatever. We're under a microscope. I get it. But, if Marshawn gets suspended and Frank Clark doesn't, I'm pissed. Just saying.
Yeah. So, with that said, we'll move on from just the general news. We'll get into the meat of this podcast here. The main reason why you guys are here, and it's to talk about the NFC West. So, guys, like I said, we've been doing this every single week. I think probably you might see 2 episodes probably over the next week or 2, just because we had to miss last week, and I think we missed another week earlier in the off season here, just because again, life happens. We have to miss an episode here and there. We're humans. But anyway, so we're gonna just kick it off. We're gonna start with the 49ers, just because why not? And I think the biggest question on everybody's minds right now with this team is, okay, so you went from the Super Bowl the year before last. Last year, your entire team was injured, basically. So now this team is coming back fully healthy. You got Nick Bosa, he's back. You got new quarterbacks. What's going to happen? Are they going to be back in the Super Bowl? Are they going to be at least contenders? So we'll just start with one point at a time. So this team is healthy. Nick Bosa is back. Do you think this team is going to be at least a fraction of what the team was when they were running the Super Bowl 2 years ago?
I'd say so. They haven't lost a lot. Obviously every team's going to lose a few guys here and there, but most of the team is being kept together. They just
intact.
Got hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's I know their fan base has high expectations for this season. I don't know. Their division's hard. We're going to talk about that today. The division's very hard. And the NFC in general is pretty challenging, but it's all going to come back to honestly this second point here is the quarterback. The quarterback play is going to determine how their season goes, I think, because they got to the Super Bowl on the heels of their run game and their defense. The defense has taken a minor step back, nothing too, but just a little
A
bit.
little bit. Yeah.
And so has the run game a little bit. They still have the offensive line in place, but they don't have all the same guys. They have Mostert still, but they don't have like Tevin Coleman and stuff. But it's all going to come down to, first of all, is Jimmy G even going to start the season, or is it just going to be Trey Lance from jump? And if it is Trey Lance ready for this in his first season? Is he ready to lead up because this is a rare situation where a team with a top draft pick drafting a quarterback is already a very good team. That doesn't usually happen. Usually you build up with the team slowly.
Right.
Like, for example, Trevor Lawrence in Jacksonville, that's going to be a slow 3, 4, 5 years. Joe Burrow with the Bengals, 3, 4, 5 years.
Exactly.
Trey Lance is just drafted number 3 to a playoff team.
Yeah, it's
so there's
very
a lot of pressure
rare
there.
that you have a playoff team get a draft pick early because of just injuries. I just, based on what you were saying about the quarterbacks, like, I can't help but think about what Kyle Shanahan said before the draft. Like, no matter what we do in the draft, whether we pick a quarterback, Jimmy G is our guy. And I can't help to think about that statement that he made. Is that bullshit or is that real? Are they really going to stick with Jimmy G? Is that really their quarterback? Why get Trey Lance at all?
If he's capping, they better trade Jimmy G, bro. They are not going to have his $20 million a year contract sitting on the bench, bro.
Yeah, for real. I don't understand why. I mean, I'm not going to try to get inside a head coach's mind or anything like that, but just like, why even make that statement? Maybe you just did that to throw a little smoke to the media, like, hey, we're not going to pick a quarterback. Jimmy G's our guy. And then there you go, Trey Lance is there. But whatever. I mean, it is what it is. Now, the next question I have about this team is, okay, so you just paid was it Fred Warner? You just paid Fred Warner. Now he is now the highest paid linebacker in football. And you just recently paid Trent Williams. He's now the highest paid left tackle in football. So now you have 2 of the highest paid players at their positions. Is this gonna affect the team at all? Is that a pro or a con? Like, is money now going to be tight going forward? Is this a make it or break it season? Is this we got to make it or bust type of season? Because now you have these players that are overpaid, or whatever, they got paychecks. I'm not going to say whether they're overpaid or whatever, but is this a make it or break it season for them?
Yeah, I mean, the contracts definitely, they kick in, man. It's usually the quarterback though that hurts the most.
Exactly.
But yeah, the contracts, you see, anytime these big contracts start getting shelled out, you look at the Seahawks is a good example. A lot of good players, had to start paying them, couldn't, and now look at them. So it's you have a tight window when you have a lot of players on your team that are the best of their position, or one of, it's very very hard to keep everybody, because don't forget about George Kittle, so they got a handful of guys on this team that are arguably the best in the NFL at their spot. So it's hard, but right now they can afford it. So yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna say it's make it or break it this season, but the window is not 10 years. Like, you gotta get it done.
Because eventually you're going to run out of cap, and you're not going to be able to keep these guys, and you're going to have to make some difficult decisions later down the road whether we want to keep these guys or we're going to have to get rid of others just to keep being able to afford them still. So, I mean, with that said, I mean, is this team still the same as it was 2 years ago? Like, do you think they need to adapt to a new identity? Like, are they still run heavy is my question. Like, this team was 2 years ago in the Super Bowl, they were very defense and run heavy. So, like, okay, you had Raheem Mostert that ran all over the Packers that one time, and now it's just, and then you had Breida, and you had you just said his name, Tevin Coleman. They're no longer part of the team. Now you have Raheem Mostert, and then you have Trey Sermon, who he was really good in Ohio. I'm not going to sit here and shit on him too much. He was really good. Then you got Jeff Wilson Jr., who was good, and then Wayne Gallman. But I mean, I want to say this team is going to be shifting to where they're going to use Raheem Mostert. It's not going to be really a committee anymore. It's going to be more Mostert and like a little bit of the other guys. And then you got rid of some of your wide receivers. You just gave one of them to the Patriots. And now, so your main two wide receivers are going to be Debo and Brandon Ayuk. So, is the identity of this team going to change all that much, or is it going to stay the same? Especially with Lance.
It depends. Well, even with Lance, I think they'd have to take it easy with the passing, and they'd probably still run a lot just to get him accustomed to the NFL and everything. But yeah, it'll still be a run-focused team. I think San Francisco is just always a run-focused team, honestly, since I've been watching.
Even with Kaepernick, yeah.
Yeah, Kaepernick, Alex Smith, etc. So I would expect it to stay the same, at least for this season. See what they have with Trey Lance if he becomes the starter, and then go from there. But I would anticipate a lot of running this season, and Raheem Mostert might be a good fantasy pick in the later round.
That's what I'm thinking. Now that it's not so much a committee anymore, I think it's going to be way more Mostert. Now that we talk, let's just shift over to the defense here now. So the biggest missing piece that we all want to talk about right now is Richard Sherman. He's now getting arrested. There's a lot of drama going on around him, like something about him trying to beat down a door, and then he got arrested. He's trying to commit suicide. All kinds of mess right now. Yeah. Is that him not being a part of that defense? Is that going to be a big step back or not? I mean, yeah, I know he's getting older, and I know, he's not what he was when he was a part of Legion of Boom. I get it. But, I mean, now your cornerbacks are going to be Jason Verrett and Manuel Mosley. Yeah. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, and then Samson Abukum. So it's just like, okay, is that going to hurt by losing Richard Sherman? I don't know. What do you think?
I think you missed the leadership and the swag a little bit, probably. Talent on the field wise, maybe not so much. But you can't underestimate the locker room presence that you're not going to have anymore. Yeah. So, especially because on the defense, I mean, obviously, Fred Warner is probably a perfectly fine leader also.
Someone's going to have to step up, exactly.
Yeah, but, Sherman was 100% the leader of the defense, like, no question. So, he was going to be gone anyways, probably. I don't think there was ever an interest in going back to the 49ers, but it's kind of sad. I mean, he might be done now, all of a sudden. It was like, he might sign with Seattle again, or, New Orleans is interested, and, this team and that team.
Seahawks, maybe, yeah.
And then, I mean...
It's just taking a crazy turn.
I feel bad. Yeah, it's like, I guess that maybe, I don't want to speak for him, but kind of the minimal interest in him in the offseason, kind of realizing that,
kind of like a wake-up call, maybe?
It's getting to the end for him, and I guess it just fucked with his head. That might not be it at all, but I'm sure it had something to do with it. He might have some personal things going on too, but the fact that he's still unsigned in July, when he thought he was going to after the draft, he thought he was kind of going to be ready to go, and he's still a free agent now. It's kind of, if you're going through something in your personal life, that definitely wouldn't help. So
exactly,
I imagine it would have something to do with it, but
I think
just feel bad, man. Mental health is especially with NFL players, you see it the most. I think in all sports, is like these guys just
they don't know what to do themselves sometimes. Like
they just
whether
don't.
It's guns or drugs or it's always something. I think these guys
they just need
something.
They need football so bad. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of these guys needed football just to get out of shitty, like to get their family out of shitty life situations, And so like when it's done,
they don't know what to do with themselves.
All they've cared about is football forever. That's it. And now it's like I literally am not good enough to play anymore. I don't know what to do. Like I just don't want to be here now. If I can't play football, I don't want to be here. So I feel bad. Hopefully they get some help. Yeah. He did say on Instagram that he was going to get some help, so that's good. But yeah, it's sad, dude. I've always been a huge fan of Richard Sherman, so that just was of all the players, in the league right now, that was one of the more sad ones for me to see go through that. But hopefully he gets better.
Yeah, I'm sure he will. I mean, he seems pretty strong. I mean, he's been pretty smart about it. I mean, like he's been one of the main guys that's part of like the I know the Players Association when like they were voting on
Yeah.
like the games per year season. Like he was one of the biggest advocates to say he's just one of the guys that would speak out on things and just be a leader. And he's very smart. So I do have faith that he'll bounce back from this for sure.
Hmm.
With that said, so we'll move on to the Cardinals. So Cardinals. I mean, so they made a lot of moves, right? That's not a secret here. They got J.J. Watt, they got A.J. Green, and then that's not the first time they've gotten somebody crazy in the offseason. I mean, they got DeAndre Hopkins last season. So it's just like, okay,
Yeah.
is this team the best on paper right now as far as veterans and just, like it just looks really good on paper to me.
Yeah.
Could this
Like
team
in
possibly be the best in the division?
yeah, in the division. Yeah, I mean, like I said, on paper they are, but they've had a hard time, going over 500 recently. So it's really a big year for Cliff Kingsbury, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Because at this point, I mean, I'm gonna assume that Kyler Murray takes another step forward.
Yeah.
I would hope so. Otherwise, maybe he's not the guy. But you know,
I mean, even so,
this team can't. Yeah, this team cannot be a sub 500 team again,
yeah,
or even
exactly.
500. They gotta be. It's 17 games, so 9-8 might not even be good enough. I'm saying you gotta win at least 10.
Yeah,
The defensive line is freaking cracked.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? Like the
exactly.
defense in general is really pretty good. You got receivers out the ass. Larry Fitzgerald still might come back for who knows.
Sheesh.
He's just a couple days ago. He's still undecided. So that was the most recent update. But I wouldn't imagine that he would play somewhere else.
No, he's retiring.
So yeah. So if he does come back, I mean, you're gonna have. I don't care if he's old or not. He's still decent. You have Larry Fitzgerald, Christian Kirk, AJ Green,
Rondell
and
Moore, Andy
Rondell
Isabella.
Moore, Isabella Hopkins.
Yeah,
Like
it's busted.
Kyler Murray, bro. There's not an excuse in the book to not have a good season passing. And then, Chase Edmonds and James Conner. That's fine at in the backfield. Cardinals' offensive line is questionable.
Yeah, I mean Rodney Hudson was a good move though.
It was, yeah. Like it's not terrible. It's just questionable. And I would imagine that they should be a playoff team. There's going to be some teams from the playoffs last year that are going to be falling out of the playoff race, like to me, Seattle, the Bears, potentially, because if Justin Fields gets in the game, they might be okay. But if they're starting Andy Dalton, they won't be in the playoffs. The Bears, if Aaron Rodgers doesn't play, maybe the Packers will make the playoffs next year. There's a chance the Saints will make the playoffs next year. So there's some open slots in the NFC. And they should take one of them because there's just not really any excuse not to with the amount of veteran locker room presence they have. J.J. Watt isn't going to come here to lose. I mean, that's why he left Houston. Like, he came here to win games. So, and obviously, he likes the weather and stuff. But, like, at the end of the day, he's still also trying to win a championship. So, a little bit of pressure in Arizona for the first time because, like I said, this is Kyler Murray's third year, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
So, your first year when you're a rookie is kind of just like
Low expectations. You're just getting into
low
the
expectations. You can just be decent. You don't have to win a lot of games, whatever. We're not expecting anything. Second year, just don't have a sophomore slump. Improve a little bit. That's whatever. By the third year, your fan base starts to get a little bit antsy now. It's like, okay, bro, like you're gonna take us somewhere, or are you just gonna be average? Like, what's the deal here? So, I'm hoping for his sake that he can. Take that next step forward, have a really solid season next year. And like I said, there's not really any reason not to with these receivers that they have. So,
yeah, there was something that I wanted to piggyback off of real quick. So you said, as far as, the players, they got all these different players over the past couple of seasons. The front office has done their job. They've turned this team around. Like this team was probably one of the lower in the division, like not even the division, probably like maybe the bottom 10, maybe 5 in the entire NFL. Now this team
Yeah.
is on the upper side. Like the front
I
office
mean,
has done their job as far as drafting and getting people in the free agency.
they made one of the ballsiest moves of all time, dude. Like they drafted a quarterback in the top 3, and then the very next year they traded him to draft another one. Like that doesn't happen every day. Like that is not something that you do. You don't just give up on your rookie quarterback because there's another one that your coach likes more.
And it was a good move because look at Josh
It
Rosen.
was.
Where's he at now?
Exactly. That just, I mean, poor Josh, dude. That had to ruin his. How do you recover from that for real though? Like that is devastating. That is devastating. But yeah, I mean that's like a risky thing because what if Josh Rosen did go to what's the Dolphins and do really really well and Kyler Murray was trash? Like what if that happened? You know, that's rough. So that's a to pull the plug on that move is ballsy. So respect.
So with that said, I mean, you know, the front office has done their job. I mean, the coach is really in the hot seat.
Yeah.
I mean, if they don't perform here, I mean, this the way that I see things with the Cardinals, this has to be Kyler Murray's at least first playoff appearance. It's got to be wild card, or coach could be out. I mean, at least. I mean, I know you could sit here and blame the running game like, oh well, Kenyon Drake, you know, he's gone, and now we got Chase Edmonds. I mean, he still got James Conner. I mean, these are not bad running backs. Kenyon Drake wasn't the best in the world anyway. I mean, I haven't seen him be good since the Dolphins probably. But, you know, I mean, I still, this team has too much talent to not make the playoffs again. And I get it. The fan base is probably antsy. The front office has done their job. The players, you got the talent. It's really on Cliff Kingsbury to actually do something with this team and bring them to the playoffs.
Yeah.
Gotta be.
Yeah, like your general manager went to the vending machine, put in a quarter, and it spit out DeAndre Hopkins to your team. So if you're the head coach, I mean, you gotta just be like, okay, bro, I gotta win some games now, because the team is just
Stacked.
the skill positions on offense. The team is loaded.
Defensive line is jacked. You got Chandler Jones, you got Xavien Collins, you got Isaiah Simmons, you got Buda Baker. Come on, like I could sit here.
They have Jordan Hicks as well, linebacker. Like they have a good team. So yeah, all those young guys, Buda Baker, Isaiah Simmons, they take a step forward. The defense is really pretty good. Corners are a little bit kind of You know, they lost Pat Pete.
Malcolm Butler's, that's probably
Malcolm Butler's kind of suspect, but.
I mean, as honestly, long as the defensive line and, you know.
Yeah, I was going to say, your corners shouldn't have to work for that hard if the pass rush is as good as it should be. So, you know, you might be okay back there with some help. And let me tell you something. There's one team that this defensive line is going to feast on, and that's our next.
Let's just go right into
squad here.
So the Seahawks,
Seattle, yeah, that's.
I mean, if there's one offensive line, honestly, because we were talking, we kind of talk about these teams before we even go live here for you guys. And at first, I don't know, maybe like a month or two ago when we were kind of like sitting here thinking about these divisions, we were talking like, oh yeah, NFC West, definitely the best decision in the NFC. And we were just like, okay, well, now that we break it down, it's like, okay, are the Seahawks really as good as we think they are? And not to, I mean, I know you Seahawks fans are going to get on us after this. But, I mean, just hear us out, okay? Just take the next 10 minutes and just listen. Okay, don't criticize. Listen. So, let's just start at their secondary. You know, you guys went from the dynasty, the boom, Legion of Boom. Now it's like, again, we make the joke, the Legion of who? Like, there's really not a whole lot of team left from that. I mean, they're not even getting drafted. I mean...
Yeah.
Who's your best corner right now, guys? I mean, let's think about this for a second. Like, it's Brandon Flowers. I mean,
yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. No, Quandre Diggs is your best safety, but other than that, it looks like you have a bunch of linebackers running around. You got Bobby Wagner, Jamal Adams. He's a linebacker. Okay, I don't give a shit. And then you got Puna Ford and Carlos Dunlap. I mean, those are the four guys that immediately think like, okay, they are top-notch, best at their position guys on defense. Everybody else is like Ben Burke-Irvin. Who is that? Like, you have guys that I never even heard of starting, and I just don't understand where this team is headed. or what they're trying to do right now.
I don't understand why they haven't done anything positive for their offensive line, because
you can poke holes
Russell
everywhere.
Wilson sat the team down and was like, "Hello, I'd like to get some help on the offensive line, please." And they proceeded to draft a receiver and something else, and then draft an offensive lineman in the 6th round, and then sign a mediocre addition to the team. And it's just kind of like, what the hell was that about? I mean, he gave you one. First of all, you watched your performance versus the Rams, so you should have known that that's what you needed to do this offseason, was get some offensive line. The absolute last thing that you needed to draft, honestly, was a wide receiver. It just doesn't make sense. It really doesn't make any sense at all to me whatsoever. And if this team isn't last in the division, which I would expect that to be the case based on just the roster itself, I think Russell Wilson is going to be doing what Aaron Rodgers is doing right now, next offseason.
But I think Russell Wilson's going to at least get his way next season. Like, he sees his team going down. He's not in the NFC Championship game every single season like Aaron Rodgers is. He's MVP caliber. Like, he looks like the MVP, no doubt, for the first at least 5 games, and then the team decides to take a turn.
Every season. So,
I guess this is a question of what's going on with the Seahawks. Is it the front office? Like, are they not listening to Russell Wilson? Is it the head coach? I want to go ahead and point my finger at the front office. Like, you have your franchise quarterback telling you what he's the one playing with the team every single week. If he says it's the offensive line, if he's out there running for his life like Patrick Mahomes on Super Bowl Sunday, then listen. I mean, your best offensive line right now is Gabe Jackson, Brandon Shell, maybe Dwayne Brown. I don't know. There were just so many offensive lines that were available this offseason, and not one was chosen. I mean, you had Orlando Brown Jr., you had Mitchell Schwartz, who's still available.
I was about to say, he's still sitting there, bro. Mitchell Schwartz is still there, bro. Like, how?
I just don't understand what the Seahawks... Do they think the guys that they have starting right now are the best they've got in the NFL? Like, your center is Ethan Pokic? Then you have Damian Lewis at left guard. Like, those guys, I mean...
No, dude.
I don't know. I'm not going to sit here and criticize too much. I'm just saying, from the eyes of a non-biased fan...
Like, you play the NFC West teams twice every single season.
And you have Aaron Donald up your ass every 2 times.
You have Nick Bosa and Eric Armstead up your ass. You have J.J. Watt and Chandler Jones up your ass. And you have Aaron Donald and
Sebastian Joseph Day.
Yes, up your ass. Like, do you think the offensive line doesn't matter? Like, and then you look at these other teams, 49ers, Cardinals, Rams. They all have better offensive lines than you. Why? Because this division is on your ass with pass rush. Like, every single team. Except for you. You have no pass rush and no defensive line. What's the problem? What's going on?
Well, I know you guys. I know exactly what you're about to say to Spitz right now. But we have Jamal Adams and Carlos Dunlap and Puna Ford.
Jamal Adams cannot be your pass rush, bro. Like, that's just sad and depressing.
And even if that is the case, what about your secondary? You're leaving that entire part of the field just wide open for them to just dot you up.
Jamal Adams leading your team in sacks is, just in case you didn't know this, is not good. That's just not good at all. That's not how it's supposed to go.
Quandre Diggs cannot be your best guy back there. That's all I'm going to say.
The fact that they have to send Jamal Adams at the quarterback so many times just tells you that they know that the defensive line is trash. Yeah. Well, they know the defensive line is trash. Well, we're not going to get any pass rush, so we got to send Jamal. He'll go get them.
Like, or, hey, we need to get Jamal because we can't hold the secondary that long either.
Yeah.
So it could go both ways.
Y'all made poor Jamal Adams, like, that man was a safety, bro. You made him not even be able to play his position no more because of how bad your team is. Honestly, like, I try not to be mean.
That poor man is running around doing everything for that defense right now.
Yeah, it's like you got Jamal Adams and Bobby Wagner just having to do everything on defense, and you got Russell Wilson. Luckily, you guys have weapons for Russell Wilson.
Yeah, you got DK and Tyler, actually really good.
It's just, like, did you really have to draft Dwayne Eskridge? Like, I just need to understand what the thought process was with
He's not even starting. You got Freddie Swain starting over him.
Like, where did you see in the 2020 NFL season where you decided that Russell Wilson didn't have enough people to throw the football to for that to be the position you target with your first pick in the first pick you had in the draft, which was like the third or fourth round? How? I really don't understand that at all. Even if you're looking at that and you're just like, oh man, I don't really see any offensive linemen that we could. It still would have been a better pick than a wide receiver. It doesn't make any sense. You basically drafted a kick returner. It's basically what you did. I don't understand it.
Seahawks. I mean, and probably, just how things go in the NFL, they'll probably still go 5-0 at the beginning of the season, just because that's just Russell Wilson he just wants to go off, and that's what he does. But eventually, that pressure will get to him. Eventually, he's going to stop wanting to run around his ass. Russell Wilson will save you for a little while. I'm not going to sit here and say they're going to be trash the entire season. They'll probably still go 10-7 or whatever. But it's just the fact that this is your franchise quarterback. You got to listen to him. Joe Burrow is like, hey man, I want to get my buddy from LSU. They do it.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, listen to your quarterback.
And they added offensive line to help him. So I was like,
they do both.
And
then you got Aaron Rodgers. You're saying like there's too many examples of what happens when you don't listen to your quarterbacks. Okay, so we'll leave it. I'm gonna leave it right there for you guys on the table.
Y'all lost. Jared Goff had 3 fingers. You were playing at home, and you scored like 9 points. What was the final score? I don't even know. The final score was a low-scoring game.
It was pretty low.
It was like 13-9 or some crazy shit like that. But like, they must have saw that and been like, "Oh damn, we only scored 9 points. We must need more wide receivers to throw."
But look at the next game. The Rams got embarrassed, right? So I'm just saying.
Yeah, it's just like, I remember watching that game and being like, "Why is Jared Goff throwing dots right now? Like, how bad is your secondary?"
Yeah, exactly. Like, if the Green Bay Packers are beating the Rams this bad, and the Rams beat you, what does that say about you?
Like, how do you allow a man with 3 fingers on his throwing hand to dot you up like that? I just don't get it.
All right, we're not going to shit too bad. We're just going to leave it right there. I'm sorry, Seahawks fans, but it just had to be said. That's just, again, we're unbiased, okay? We're just trying to recall out how we see it. We look at everything, and we just... Anyway, Rams. Here we're going to end with the Rams. Here we go. So, the biggest news right now with the LA Rams is Cam Akers. He just tore his Achilles. Does this affect the team?
I mean, it definitely affects the team. It just depends on how...
Like a lot, though. Is that like a major impact?
Yeah. I don't know, man, because
they were pretty run-heavy, at least in the playoffs. Like when Jared Goff could not throw because, again, 3 fingers, Cam Akers was carrying a little bit.
Yeah, Akers was carrying.
So what
I don't know, man, because like we didn't really see a whole lot of Cam Akers last season until like the playoffs, like you said. So it's like,
true.
We don't really know how good he is and how much of an impact that injury is going to have. But it doesn't help because he's definitely like if anything, he's the guy that can catch out of the backfield for them. Yeah.
So now you have Darrell Henderson Jr. And then that's pretty much it. Everybody else is a bunch of no names. So now,
Henderson can run, but like, no man, you got some guys in free agency. Just saying.
Yeah, let's just get into that because this is the most intriguing thing about the Rams for me right now. So okay, you got a running back question. Can Darrell Henderson do it, or do you reunite with a guy who did you really good 2 or 3 years ago? Todd Gurley, does he come back to the Rams?
I'd rather have Todd Gurley. I'd also rather have Adrian Peterson. I've got to be honest.
I actually saw something on Twitter saying like, hey, AP still has a lot in the tank. He still feels young.
Yeah.
He really wants to do it again and go after some
Adrian
records.
Peterson is like a robot, dude. He's like Frank Gore, but better. Like he is going to be able to go for, he's like, what, 37? I mean, he's fine. Like he literally, if you just watched him the last couple of years, like it's like just, I don't know. If I'm the Rams, I'm like, maybe Darrell Henderson can still be number 1, but I'd give it a look at least. If you don't want, maybe there was some kind of a rift with Todd Gurley.
Right.
Yeah. Maybe something happened with Todd Gurley and you guys don't get along or something, but There's no possible chance and shit that you can convince me that Darrell Henderson is a better option than Todd Gurley, though.
Yeah, I mean, look, this team has a new identity now. You got Matthew Stafford as your quarterback. Like, at least
just. Like, I know Gurley's been injured, but like you just said, you got Matt Stafford now. You don't have to. You're not relying on the run
as much
now. Like last season was all like Jared Goff was not good. The year they got to the Super Bowl, Jared Goff was good, but they still also relied on Todd Gurley a lot to make Jared Goff good. Now Matt Stafford can do it on his own, and you can just, if Todd Gurley gives you 800 rushing yards, that should be fine. Like, you don't have to have some 1,500-yard rusher on your team. You just got to get a guy in there that can get you some plays. And Todd Gurley still was able to, of course he was hurt, and then last year he was playing with the shitty Falcons and their terrible offensive line. And he still showed some burst. I mean, remember he had that accidental touchdown.
Yeah.
Because he burst through the line so goddamn hard that he couldn't stop himself from scoring a touchdown. So he still got it. You can't always look. Sometimes people are like, oh my God, Todd Gurley looked so bad last year. Well, look at the team he's on.
Yeah.
Like, you can't always just, with running backs, you can't just always look at numbers and be like, wow, he averaged, 3.8 yards per carry. That's pretty goddamn terrible. Well, what else are you going to average with the Atlanta Falcons? Like, it's just, that team was terrible last season. It's just awful. So, just the eye test tells, because we played the Falcons twice, and I just feel like Todd Gurley looked good enough to me to, at the least be your number 2 with Darrell Henderson, at least.
Yeah.
Because I don't even, do you have it pulled up? I don't even know who the number 2 is.
So the number 2 is actually Xavier Jones.
Yeah, see, what's like...
Next, and then Jake Funk is your 3rd.
Bro.
So...
No offense to those 2 guys, but come on, bro. Like, these... Todd Gurley and AP are better. There's no chance you can tell me otherwise.
So, yeah, I mean...
For now. Like, I know that those guys, I'm assuming, are young players, but, like, right now, today, come on.
Yeah. I mean, even with this running back problem that we're talking about here, I mean, this team is probably still easily the best team in the division, I would say. It's arguably. I mean...
On paper, yeah, for sure.
So you got Matthew Stafford, who instantly just gives you at least playoff contention, along with Robert Woods, Cooper Kupp, Deshaun Jackson, Tyler Higbee. I mean, and then you got this good line. I mean, you got Andrew Whitworth. I mean, and then the defense. I mean, come on, guys. Like, we already talked about it. Yeah. Aaron Donald up your ass. And then you got Jalen Ramsey and Darius Williams, Tyler Rapp, Jordan Fuller just chilling in the secondary, covering everything. I mean, this team...
They did lose John Johnson, though. It's my... but still, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, still. I mean, there was enough depth there to... I mean, that's... Losing a guy like that didn't hurt too bad. So,
yeah.
I mean, since you have the best corner and the best defensive end in the game, even though they just lost a running back, will they win a ring this year? Like, do you think they'll take a step forward from what happened last year?
I just don't think anybody can beat the Buccaneers, man. I gotta be honest with you, but they can definitely win the division and make it somewhere. But yeah, I was gonna say something. Oh, do you want to? You're about to get really pissed off with this one.
Oh, what happened?
So I've been seeing some Twitter banter.
Oh boy.
About Matt Stafford and saying that he's like the most overrated quarterback of this generation.
Overrated?
Yes, because he had the greatest receiver of all time and they couldn't do anything in the playoffs.
Oh,
and so that makes him overrated.
Okay, well, you can flip it on the other side. Okay. Like... I'm not going to sit here and say anything about it. Like, sure, the Lions were trash. We could sit here and blame the head coach. We could sit here and blame the play calling. I mean, it's a team sport, guys.
I'm just like Matt Stafford. Matt Stafford has 5,000 yards. Calvin Johnson has 2,000 of those.
There was a crazy stat that I saw, actually.
They are clearly not the reason why the Lions are losing. I'm sorry. I just don't understand it.
No, of course not.
I didn't. When I read that stuff out, and it was a lot of people, I was just like, what the fuck are you talking about?
No. There was a crazy
I've always
stat
thought I've always thought he's like the most underrated.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, the stat that I saw was that he has the most yards in a game without getting a touchdown. Like, it was like he had like 500 yards
the
and
hell?
0 touchdowns. And I'm just like,
Oh my
what does that
God.
tell you? Like, he can move the ball. It's the play calling.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, what else would
Like
that
they got
say?
it all the way down the field and just ran it in all the time.
Yeah, or
That's
something. It's
annoying.
just, I don't know, man. It's just, I don't believe that for a second. No, he's the
Yeah,
most overrated. No, he's the most underrated. And
I
like the
agree.
fact that he was not even getting credit for this, he was doing no lookers before no lookers became a thing. Like, this guy is good, and he's better for this team to make it to a Super Bowl. And I still stand
Yeah.
by that. Like, he's better
Yeah,
than
he's
him
those
Goff.
Stafford's on some of the craziest passes you've ever seen in your life. You go watch a Stafford highlight tape,
It's
outside
insane.
of maybe Mahomes, it's the craziest thing. Like I'd say like he might have the craziest pass I've ever seen because he threw like this was for a touchdown too. Like Mahomes does this in the but like he threw a no look pass right like threads the needle between two defensive backs for a touchdown in the back of the end zone. And like for me, the only throw that's ever come close to rivaling that was the Super Bowl last year when Mahomes did a front flip and threw it right on the money, but the guy dropped it or whatever.
Yeah.
That's the only throw that I've. First of all, what the fuck is that throw? I know we're not talking about the Chiefs, but like now that I'm thinking about it, what is that?
Yeah.
But besides that throw, man, like just go watch. If you're really young and you didn't really see like young Detroit Matt Stafford, dude, do yourself a favor, go watch a Matt Stafford highlight tape and just watch your jaw hit the floor. Just saying.
Yeah, there's no way. Like, again, this is a team sport. Just because you have one of the better quarterbacks and then Calvin Johnson, like, okay, so what? You can put a bunch of points on the board. Your defense is still going to give up the same amount of points that you just put on the board, if not
Yeah.
more. So it's about a team sport. It's about play calling. It's not just strictly about, oh well, we had the best wide receiver in existence and Matthew Stafford. So it's more than that, guys.
He had that game. I can't remember who they were playing against, but he like cracked the shit out of his ribs, and like the coach pulled him out of the game, and then he like ran back into the game like "fuck you, coach," and then drove. It was for like the game-winning drive. He drove his team down the field for a game-winning drive with just destroyed ribs, and it's like, how can you hate this guy, man? How can you shit on him like that?
No, you can't. Pisses me off. No, Matthew Stafford, man. Whoever says that, and if you're watching this and you think that, like,
You're just wrong, bro.
just
You're
it's
just
just
wrong, bro.
I hope you just come on, man. I hope you at least go back and think about what you said. Go back and watch yourself some
Yeah.
tape. He's
Don't
not
be a hater, man.
overrated. If anything, I never hear about Matthew Stafford ever. Honestly, to be completely honest with you guys, this offseason is the most I've ever heard about Matthew Stafford. Because they're like, oh man, the Rams, like, this guy could be the plug. He could be the one that makes the team go to a Super Bowl. Blah, blah, blah. He's so much better than Goff. This is the most I've ever heard about Matthew Stafford. Otherwise, it's been quiet season after
Guys,
season.
if Matt Stafford got drafted almost anywhere, the only teams I could think of would be like the Jets and maybe the Browns. But
Yeah,
besides
he was
those
just put
three teams,
into
if he
a
got
bad-
drafted,
Yeah,
anywhere else, guys, he would have been
playoffs every single season, Super
MVP
Bowls possibly,
conversation.
MVPs. Yeah, like,
Yeah.
this guy just got put into a big. The Lions is like, it's like the Bermuda Triangle. Like, you just go in there.
The
no one ever
Lions were
comes out.
terrible.
They're terrible
I'm
every
so
single
tired.
season.
I'm
It
so
sucks.
sick of hearing like, "Oh, you had the best wide receiver and who else?" Like, go look at the teams that they had in Detroit and tell me who else, bro. You can't just win a Super Bowl because you have Matt Stafford and Calvin Johnson. It doesn't work that way. Those teams were god awful.
Yep. I'm gonna sit here. The more I think about it, I just get even more angry because like I just want to defend Matthew Stafford so much, and it's just like obviously.
Hopefully he proves it
Yeah.
this season. I hope he does. I really hope he doesn't fumble the bag because then those haters are gonna have their evidence or whatever.
I think he's sweating right now to get something done over there. I think
So too because Sean McVay is like shitting himself
Sean McVay is like
over
just,
how Matt
his dick
Stafford
is
looks
hard
in
over Matthew
practice.
Stafford, bro. Like,
Yes.
he's like, oh my god, I love this guy. He's the best thing. You know, that golf guy that we
reason-
had. He sucks.
The reason they're not bringing in another running back is because Matt fucking McVay is like, we're not going to run the ball anyways, bitch. So I don't care who we have back there. We're passing all 4 downs. I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
We're throwing the ball 70 times a game. Matt Stafford about to have 6,000 passing yards.
for real, for the first time because we have
Extra game,
we have an
yeah.
extra game. So yeah, guys, that's the NFC in a nutshell. I mean, if we had to sit here and think about records, I think my personal favorite to win the division is the Rams. Probably
Yeah.
followed by it's going to be a close between the 49ers and the Cardinals. I don't think this.
Hmm.
I think the Seahawks are going to be they're going to be last in the division. I hate to say it, but it's just this team has gone down, 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 and they're not listening to Russell Wilson. But yeah,
I agree.
that's what I think about it. I don't want to sit here and say records because every time I do, we get blasted, and
Well, we're doing that later anyway. We
we'll
got a
do it
couple
later.
weeks,
We'll do
boys.
power rankings one day, and then we'll really take
Hmm.
we'll really take some criticism there. But yeah, that's gonna be it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that. I know it was a little bit longer of an episode, but hey, that's what happens when you misses a week, and you just kind of have to
Yeah.
talk about 2 weeks worth of news that happened. But hey, we'll be back again next week to do what's the division we're doing next week?
AFC South.
AFC South. Oh, that would be a fun one. Texans, yay,
Oh,
awesome.
God, dude.
I'm
Texans
not
fans,
happy about that.
don't tune in if you're a Texans fan.
Yeah,
Just
I mean,
saying.
I'll try to
Y'all are
keep it
getting
light. I'll try to keep it
shit.
light.
I'm not.
I'll try to keep it light a little bit, but you'll just expect the same level of like the way that we talked about the Seahawks today will be probably the same level. I mean, if you don't like how we talked about the Seahawks, just don't tune in
Yeah.
if you're a Texans fan. Anyway, Texans suck. Anyway, so that's gonna be it for us on this week. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Hit that like button if you haven't already. Hit the sub button if you haven't
Yes.
already. I should have said that at the very beginning, but hey, if you're still here, hit the sub button. I know you guys watch. Like I said, I think there's like 45% of you who watch consistently and don't hit it. So guys, just support the channel. It's a brand new channel. We really appreciate it. And that's gonna be it. We appreciate you guys very much. We'll be here next week. You have anything left to say?
No, not really. We're gonna try our best not to keep missing episodes. That's our bad.
Yeah, it's
We're like in this weird thing where we just like forget what day of the week it is. To be honest with you, I know that sounds like an excuse, but it's true as fuck. Like we're literally be like midnight on Tuesday.
like, oh shit, we forgot.
I'll just message Jeff like, "Yo, it's Tuesday. What the fuck How did we miss this again?"
And to my excuse, I just started a new job probably like 3 months ago, so I'm still trying to get
Yeah.
into the work mode and trying to get everything to balance out, whether my work life and my personal life with the podcast and the YouTube. I'm trying to still get it
Yeah,
balanced
dude,
out a
it's
little bit.
struggle.
So
So
guys, just be
blessed.
patient with us. We're still trying to make it more consistent. But hey, I mean, we've only missed 1 week. I mean, it's not like we missed a whole month and we're like, hey guys, we're finally back after a month. No,
Oh
we're
yeah, that's
it's
true
not
for
that
sure.
bad. So guys, again, we appreciate you guys for watching, supporting the channel, and until next time, peace out, guys.
Peace.